right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. Tonight we were joined by the one, the only, Chung Chow of the WGC. Chung, how you doing, man?
Good. Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. And, of course, as usual, is my co-host, Nick, and he'll probably sit in the background and not say a fucking thing like he normally does. So, Nick, how are you doing? Exactly.
I'm doing all right.
Now, are you going to sit back and mute yourself all night, and or are you going to talk?
I always like talking. I always say I like talking. You just tell me to shut the fuck up.
Well, you know, sometimes it has to be said.
That's why you have a co-host. That's the whole point of a co-host.
So for any of you out there that are looking at starting a podcast, the way that it works is that the host does all the talking. You have a co-host just to say that you have a co-host. Past that, their job is to shut the hell up and not say anything.
Pretty much, you just sit there and nod.
Yeah, and then maybe post some shit on Twitter when you're not paying attention.
See, he doesn't say that, I set up interviews or, cold call people saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. He takes all the glory, bastard.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Shut up, intern. Anyway,
so... Oh, no, I have earned co-host status, not intern. God damn it.
What are you talking about? Neither one of us are being paid. It doesn't fucking matter to begin with.
True, but, if someone wants to pay us,
Yes. Look for that Patreon that we may or may not open at some point if we actually get around to doing it. But anyway, Chung, how the hell are you doing, man? It's been a while since we talked.
Good. Just hanging out there and recovering from Gen Con still and catching up with work and stuff. So.
Still recovering from Gen Con. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, man. I take a week off. That backs up like a month of work for me, for work. So.
Yeah.
I just got to catch up.
Yeah. Did you walk away with the con crud, or did you escape this year?
No con crud. I normally don't get con crud, so I only got it once, I think.
Oh, that's good. It seems like every damn year I've been at Gen Con, I get con crud. Usually it's because I end up working a booth, and then you got how many people coming up to you standing like basically face to face with you, just breathing in Cheetos and shame the entire time that they're there. And you're trying to smile and sell them product.
This year we had Alex from Mats by Mars in our booth, at the Badger booth, and was selling his mats, and he bought hand sanitizer, like a bottle of it. So, like, I've been, like, snaking all his stuff. Like, every time I shook someone's hand, because he had it out, so I just kept squirting because it was something to do, because it gets kind of boring when you're just standing there sometimes.
Oh, he probably wanted you to use it.
I guess. He used it all the time. I think it was because he kept using it, I kept using it.
Yeah, so that Badger booth, I know the last couple of years, you guys have been expanding quite a bit with the WGC presence there. Who all did you have in the booth this year from the WGC?
Well, see, at Gen Con, we don't usually organize anything at Gen Con. It's mostly people usually just show up. So it's not like where it was like 2 years ago at DEPCON, when we were organizing everything, where all the WGC members are there and stuff to represent and stuff. Nowadays, we just say, oh, we're going to DEPCON if you go and meet up. And usually there's a bunch of WGC people there. But usually we just hang out at the Badger booth and either answer questions and help sell the product or whatever. And most of the time Ken just has me there just doing whatever. Like this year at Gen Con, I barely even I kept moving out of the booth because there were so many people there doing stuff that it was getting crowded. So I just mainly did sit around once in a while just to say hi and talk to people that actually go to Gen Con and talk to me, when their thing is to talk to me there, because I got this group of people that watch my videos but don't ever say anything or ask me questions or anything until we're at Gen Con. It's like they save it up, right, and then decide to talk to me at Gen Con. So each con there's a specific group of people that literally does not bother me until the con with questions.
Which is the dumbest damn thing ever. It's not like you're ever been a hard guy to get a hold of. I mean, you throw your shit out there everywhere, except your personal cell phone number, obviously, but you don't make it hard to talk to you.
No, I don't. But like I said, there's just a certain group that it's like a habit they do. right? I mean, there's people that still meet me at cons, ask me questions every day online and everything. But then I have that specific group that just goes to Gen Con, and part of it is to talk to me and ask questions. You know, it's just weird. It's just the way that it is. You know how, like, in this hobby, when you're doing, you're doing the podcast, there's this certain group of people that listens that do certain things, and that's just the way they do it. You know,
Right.
it's their habit, you know. So it just became a habit. They're like, oh, okay, we know Chung goes to Gen Con every year, so I'm going to hang out with him or ask him questions at Gen Con. You know, and that's one of the things. It's like there's this regular group of people that always talk or meet up or just shoot the shit with at Gen Con that I always look forward to seeing. So at Depthcon, I know there's a certain group of people that I only talk to or go outside and, well, I don't smoke anymore, but I vape. And and know that there's going to be alcohol waiting and stuff like that, because I have, my drinking buddies that go and smoke, and they go play games. I'm over at the Badger booth for doing classes or whatever, and the only time we really talk or meet up and get drunk is when we go out and smoke.
Well, that's not a bad way of doing it. I mean, that's a very Wisconsin thing of you to do, to just go outside, smoke in the cold, and drink until you can't feel the cold anymore. So.
Well, it's just a little thing that just happened every year. I mean, I don't bring that. They do. They always have the flask with them, And they're,
it's a con, man.
Yeah, it's a con. It's one of those things. It's a regular thing you do. You start producing these traditions. So
Yeah,
that's a great thing about it.
Yeah.
Flask is a wonderful thing.
So speaking of this, I know I mentioned to you that, we've had some people asking this, what is the WGC? Because here on Skirmish Supremacy, we don't just talk about wargaming. We talk about role-playing games, board games, a lot of indie stuff in the industry, and there's a lot of people that like that kind of stuff. But tell us a little bit about the WGC and, why you created it, because I know that over the years there's been a couple misconceptions on it, and there's certain people that are still saying, what the hell is this? I see it pop up on YouTube all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the thing of the WC, is that we kind of there but not there. People know our name but not sure what the hell we actually do. And I don't help by telling them exactly what we do, because most of the time I'm like, yeah, whatever, we're just hanging around doing whatever we want. And basically it's kind of the thing. As long as it deals with wargaming, board gaming, or role-playing, then we just help push it and promote it. It's not like we're looking to make money out of it. Honestly, I spent more money on this stupid thing more than any money that's made out of it, right? But basically, we're just a community-based group of people that I usually just hang out, talk to, get to know, and say, hey, you want to be part of WGC to do what you're doing, like you do Skirmish Supremacy. Well, I knew you way before then, but you did that, so we created a podcast network, and you're part of that. It's the kind of thing we do. We group up, do things together, and swap ideas and stuff. So we have the podcast network. We swap ideas. We kind of promote each other, whatever. We have the YouTube program. We do the same thing. Then we push all our games in our gaming groups on Facebook. And then we mesh them all together. Like, if you go to our website, then you'll be able to look up videos and podcasts and whatever for a specific game, for a specific genre. Whatever. We're just a conglomerate group of people. We're a consortium, basically. We're not out there to kill anyone or anything, but we're just together, getting together like-minded people that get along. That's most important, and that think kind of not like in the same thing of promoting the hobby, and just doing it. That's it. Just do it.
Right. Because I know that's been one of the biggest things behind the WGC, pretty much since its founding, is it's meant to kind of be, I don't want to say a central source for people to come together and wargame, but in a way that's kind of, for internet purposes, it's kind of what it's become. It's a way for people to get together with something that's not, professionally done, like a mini wargaming or a Beast of War, and it's community driven and community created in order to let people know kind of what everybody's playing, what's cool, what's hot, see all the awesome artwork, because I know that's a huge part of the WGC.
Yeah, I mean that's one part of it. Again, the WGC is way bigger than a lot of people think. in the sense of the organization, but it's not as big as say watching like Beast of War TV or whatever, because they really focus on all the videos and all that stuff. We focus not just on videos but everything else, so it makes it really hard to run the organization. So we're kind of like just all over the place, but not really there. Kind of like I don't know how you would explain it. It's just weird. We're just promoting the hobby, basically, is what we're doing. Promoting the hobby, basically, is better say we promote the hobby based on the people that want to follow us and be part of it. Because we're not just open to everyone. We're not everyone's taste. Like when I select people to be part of the YouTube program, part of the podcast program, there's a specific personality to them, right? And then there's this other part of personalities that we don't want to deal with. So there's a lot of we're not just like grabbing anyone that has high viewership count or anything like that. I'm basing it on is this person someone that will fit with the rest of the group?
Right.
That's not just here to grab other subscribers or to promote themselves or whether, but mainly promote the hobby. And it's always been like that. And since we're not really tied down to sponsorships or making money or anything, we have the luxury of saying, get the fuck out of here. Type of thing.
There is that. I've noticed, throughout the years, a lot of people kind of come and go. Some by choice, some were, more of a decision based on, something that you saw. Because I know that for the most part, it's primarily you that runs it. Now, I know that Lester Bursley, Les from Awesome Paint Job, he was involved, but I honestly haven't heard from him in a while, man.
He still is. He's basically one of the founders, one of the original founders, the original founder. WC was based on the YouTube channel I created, because I'm into this whole consortium thing. Because before the Wargamers Consortium, 10 years ago there was the RPG Consortium, and that's going way back in history, right? It's 10, 15 years, 20 years, I don't know. It was the start of the internet, really, the boom of the internet. And I created an online community for role-playing. It was at first called the Amnesty Alliance. Don't ask why it's called that. It's just called that. That's what all the, I guess the organizers back then voted on the name. And I guess it's Amnesty Alliance because a lot of the group of the organizers that I put together were women. So they came up with the Amnesty Alliance. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. But we started with that, and then it changed into the RPG Consortium. And that it was the same thing, except it was with websites. It was the same thing like the YouTube program, except with other websites. So we had this whole consortium going of all these RPG websites that kind of just promoted role-playing. Right? We had Dragonlance.com, at Athos.org. Oh God, I can't even remember all of them. There was like 12 or 13 of these websites, these organizers, and I got them together to do this RPG consortium where we all got together, shared resources, shared content, putting content together for RPG consortium specifically, and it grew from there. It grew really big because we were like kind of like taking all these little websites about role-playing them and putting them together into one big group and creating a force out of it. And it's kind of what that same model that I'd taken to do the WG Consortium, the War Gamers Consortium, right? Yeah. I mean, that lasted for like 5 years. It lasted forever, and then the internet grew bigger, and then it just grew bigger than we were. And then by that time, everyone got out of it. We were doing something else. After a while, life moves on, and they go to college to get new jobs or whatever. But we were really successful at it, and out of that, success became whatever they did in their real life, the job or whatever. So, I mean, I still talk to a lot of those guys. Some of those guys come out of nowhere and say, "Hey, remember me?" and all that stuff. It's really cool, and I tell them about WG Consortium and now how the role playing is under that and all that stuff. So
nice. Yeah, because I know that you talked about it a little bit before, but yeah, I think that's the first time I heard the whole story about how all that kind of came to be. Because I knew that you had it all kind of started with role-playing. And then I know for you, you got into scale modeling, which kind of brought you into the painting side of the wargaming hobby.
Kind of. I mean, it's really hard to explain because there's so much history behind it. I got back into scale modeling. I was scale modeling when I was like 16. I was doing airbrushing when it first came out. You know, we're still really like baby to the hobby back then. And then I got out of it because of college and school and all that stuff. And then I got back into it after I quit WoW because, you know, trying to find another hobby than spending, you know, 24 hours in front of the computer playing a game and living a life in a game, right? Yeah. I got the hell out of there, and I was just like, I need a real hobby. Now, I'm not sure if scale modeling is a real hobby, quote-unquote real hobby, but I got into that and golfing at the same time, so at least I was getting out at that time. Yeah, I got into scale modeling. I started doing that, and then, like always, I joined the community, and then I became really part of it as a staff member. It's called Scale Model Addict. And we did a lot of things together, and that's when I said, he was doing videos, so I kind of followed his lead and said, oh, I could do videos too, because I did videos for World of Warcraft. So I went ahead and did. So before the WG Consortium, I had a channel for World of Warcraft, where I did tutorials on how to use mods and stuff like that. So if you play World of Warcraft, it might be likely that you've seen one of my videos and not even know it. Okay?
Nice.
And then I went to do scale modeling videos with Scale Model Addict. Then I split from that because I got into wargaming because I met someone that did Warhammer Fantasy, and I used to be a huge Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K player back in my heydays. So I got into that, and then I played one game with him, and I got hooked back right away. So at that time, that's when I met Les, because I was looking up painting tutorials, trying to get back into the hobby, seeing what's different. I contacted Les. We became really good friends. We sat there, talked like forever one night, and then just became good friends out of that. Talk about airbrushing and stuff because he started getting in it, and that's what I did. I started my wargaming channel, and I started out very early with the airbrushing videos because that was just getting into our hobby, airbrushing. So because of those videos, it gained a lot of views because, hey, I got something. It's like, you know, one of the things about making a successful YouTube channel, you have to be, you know, you have to have good content, you have to be a really good personality, and you have to have good luck. And I had good luck on that, whereas I came in with the videos right when it started happening for the airbrushing stuff.
Right. And I think a lot of that, too, also goes to talk about the fact that you can't get discouraged right away if, you can't expect that overnight you're going to be a sensation as far as YouTube or any type of a media goes, especially in this hobby. You know, you really have to kind of embrace that grind.
Yeah, if you want to talk about starting a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog, you got to keep doing it until you capture attention. There's a lot of people I've seen that started and just did nothing with it or didn't go anywhere because they didn't get, you know, they weren't attracting views because the way they talked, the way they did their content. You know, you have to follow the basic rules, which is they have to see you, they have to hear you, and you have to be entertaining, regardless of what you do. Even if you're teaching something, be entertaining about it. Don't sound too boring. Don't be boring because you don't want to be there and be that teacher that all they do is lecture that you fall asleep at. You know, when you go to their seminars or something.
Bueller.
Yeah, Bueller, exactly, Bueller. You know, you don't want that Bueller effect. So, I mean, that's a whole thing that we could get into and talk about as well, which I know we talked tons about, Tim, about the YouTube channels, about the podcast and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I kind of resurrected my YouTube channel, you know, because for the folks listening out there, you know, I'm sure that you saw that we just started, you know, posting a lot of the podcasts to YouTube, and I used to actually run a YouTube channel that was, you know, kind of a little bit of my own thing, a little bit of WGC, but after a while, like, I just, no offense to anybody out there who listens that does a lot of the editing, but, like, there was no way I could keep up with the shit that Chung and Les and everybody else would do. I just didn't have the time in the day or the editing skills in order to do videos of that quality. And so because of that, I was like, well, you know, I still want to be involved in the social side of things. I still want to be a source for information. That's kind of why I said fuck it into the podcast compared to keeping the YouTube channel going.
Right, and that's the thing that I was talking to you about. Because I know you were having trouble with YouTube channel because you were part of the YouTube program. And you would ask questions and stuff. I go, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's just sometimes not everyone's can of worms. Then you started the SSP, and then it blew up from there. And I said, this is perfect. This is the medium that you should be doing because you're more comfortable with it. And it seemed like you could do it much easier, much better than you can with videos. I mean, personally, I do the podcasting, the video, and the blogging, and the video, yeah, it takes a lot of time, but I could whip it out pretty quick, only because, well, I have the equipment, I've done it long enough to know how to do it and stuff. So it's easier, more natural to me to do video than, say, a podcast. Podcast is pretty easy for me to do, but I just can't sitting there and listening. I mean, I had the latest episode of the WGC podcast in the can, already fully recorded and stuff, for the past week, and Nestor can attest to this because Nestor's been bugging me about it, because that's his job. He's like, hey, when's the podcast coming out? We recorded it a week ago. But it's been sitting there for a week, and all I have to do, everything's all edited, all the segments are edited. I just have to put them together, and it's like a 10-minute job. But I've been putting it off for a week because it's not it's not something I completely enjoy doing. Like if it was a video, I'd be like, oh, no problem, whip, put it up, okay. But I think also because I'm lazy, I hate the worst part of doing it is not making the videos or podcasts or writing the blog. It's putting up and then posting it everywhere and trying to get people to watch it or listen to it or read it or whatever. That's the part I hate. Because I'm like, oh, I got to post this again 5 times. I got to share it to 50 groups and whatever. And there's easy ways to do it, but I don't like those easy ways because you just post once and it goes out everything, and not every single outlet takes that one post and posts it correctly. So then you got to go in and modify it. I just hate that part of doing everything.
Yeah, and that's something that I was kind of the exact opposite. Like for me, I use Audacity for a lot of the mixing that we do. And it took me, I don't know, I'd say 15 minutes to a half an hour to get the gist of the basics. There's a lot of Audacity I still don't know. But when it came time to editing video, probably my most watched video back in the day was the one where I made those cargo containers.
Yeah.
And that 23-minute video took me 6 hours to edit and load up, and I was just like, holy balls, fuck this.
Well, that's a 20-minute video that you only spent 6 hours on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds pretty easy, but I guess it's not your thing. See, that's what I'm trying to say. A 20-minute video for me is about 12 to 24 hours of editing, right? A tutorial is 40 to 50 hours. If you do a tutorial like Les or the tutorials I do, we spend time on these in the editing mostly than ever filming it, actually. Because editing is the key for me and Les. That's our thing. We like to edit. That's the thing. We want to present it correctly and in a proper way where people can understand it under amount of short time that we have to display it, and not make it 50 hours long. That's the whole thing. Nowadays, everyone wants the information quick and want to know how to do it. Unfortunately, with the tutorial, you're going to have to go at least over an hour. For a really good bat rep to get them all into what's happening and to understand what everything's going on, it's going to be maybe 40 minutes to an hour. It really depends. Quick tips you can do under 5 minutes tops. People love quick tips. Okay, but why your container cargo video did so well because it was a tutorial. You're teaching something to someone. They take something out of it and they leave with it. That's what you want to do with every single video. A lot of people start a video and try to do something like a tutorial, and honestly, when I see something like that, I click off the video when all they do is ramble, right? You have to get to the point. I'm looking on how to paint a Space Marine, get to the fucking point, right? If you're going to ramble about shit, I'm just going to turn it off and go somewhere else. Because, the hard fact and hard truth of it is if you're not going to do the video, I'm going to find a video that does it better. And right now, with everything that's out there on YouTube, I'm sure to find something better or something more to my taste.
Right.
You know, so that's the important thing. So spending time on editing your stuff and things like that does pay off at the end. It's a pain in the butt. And sometimes it feels like no one gives a shit because, you know, you spend 40 hours doing the video and then, you know, you get like, you know, 1,000 views. You're like, what the fuck is this shit? 1,000 views? What am I going to do? I mean, for me anyways, 1,000 views is like whatever, right?
Well,
so you want people to take.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically because for you, 1,000 views is fucking nothing because I mean, outside of again those professional channels, like it is kind of you in like the higher end of the WGC that take the time to do those videos. That yeah, you get a shit ton of views, but you've been at it for forever and you've built that brand. Everybody knows the damn name. But
right.
Yeah, I can understand where that would be insulting as shit. Like, you know, you do put all that work in and like 1,000 views, it's like fuck off, people.
Well, it's not insulting. It's just like, see, the main point for me about doing these videos is share it and make sure people learn from it and take away from it. I don't give a shit about popularity or whatever. I want to make sure people that if I'm going to spend 40 hours on a video, I want people to take some to use it. Right. You know, like if I'm going to give you $1,000, fucking use it. For your bills or whatever, right? Use it for something good. I don't want to be doing this for nothing. Is you know the main thing. Like I'm sure, you know that's why a lot of people get frustrated with doing videos or doing podcasts that no one will listen or what. But you got to kind of keep going and then build that brand and push it.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm out here, and that's one of the things you have to stand out because nowadays with all these podcasts out there, with all these videos out there. You have to stand out some way or somehow, you know, and don't be fake about it. You just got to be yourself, and hopefully yourself is what attracts people.
Yeah, and you know that a lot of that has to do with kind of the philosophy that I've kind of taken with on the podcast before. I know that I haven't really had a chance to talk about it at this point, but you know I've mentioned to people offline all the time, and you know Nick pretty much at this point knows the slogan I follow is that. You know, I try to do this like it's a bunch of people, you know, like if we're interviewing somebody who has a new game coming out, right? Yeah. I try to make it feel as natural as possible. Like I want it to feel like, you know, it's them, Nick and myself, sitting around a table at a game store talking about their new game that's about to launch in the next couple of weeks. And, you know, I'm just like this interested guy who wants to hear everything they have to say about their stuff.
Right.
And, you know, at that point, if they want to joke and banter, like that to me is what makes it a little bit more real. Because at the end of the day, like, sure, you know, what we do on this podcast, not to, you know, go off on this tangent, but it kind of ties into, you know, everything you were talking about is the fact that, like, I want when people listen to the show to realize that the people that are in the gaming industry are normal people. They're people just like you and I. They're no different. They're not some hyper celebrity. You know, they're not untouchable. They're not some, like, gods amongst men, even though you might think that if they, you know, the way some people react.
Well, some people do act like that, so you can't really blame them.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, again, that's another truth. Some people think they're bigger than they really are, especially when we're sitting here playing with plastic toys. It's really not that big of a deal, guys. We're playing with plastic toys. Right? But some of these people are quote-unquote divas, and those are people who I try to stay away from and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, and because of them, they kind of screwed up for the rest of who don't mind sitting here talking to everyone. I mean, that's one thing. That's one of the reasons why I go to conventions and events like Adepticon or Gen Con is to talk to people and expand the knowledge of painting, of the hobby, of gaming, and whatever. Because I do all of it. It's easy to talk to me about it. You know, unless you're like really weird and, you know, want to like take off my face and wear it all day long or whatever kind of weirdness, you know, axe murderer thing, then, you know,
what fucking conventions are you going to?
I don't know, man. Some of these people are weird. I mean, there's like that 0.001% who, you know, message you say, hey, I want to wear your face to my birthday party. Well, what the freak is that about?
Well, now that you mentioned it, there's probably going to be a lot more of those. It's probably gone up to 2%.
I don't know, man. As long as I get something out of it, I guess it's okay. I don't know. It is entertaining, but then some of it is really weird. And then, some of the people, yeah, it's really weird. I don't like the haters, but you're gonna get them. I don't like the people who think they're entitled for your videos, for your podcast, or whatever you do. It's just like, dude, I'm doing this shit for free, so
Right.
chill the fuck out, right? You know, it's like I'm not doing this for you. You're not paying me to do it, so go suck a dick. I don't care. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I allowed to say shit like this? I don't know.
Of course you can.
Okay, cool. I don't know if your podcast is G-rated. And then you got the people who think they know it all, and it just gets really annoying after a while. That it's just like, I don't want to deal with the what do you call it, the judges, the what do you call them, the gamers that the hardcore gamers.
Cunts.
Well, you can call them cunts, whatever. But yeah, I can't stand those guys either. So I like
the win at all cost guys, like the ones.
Yeah, the wimp guys.
Like, oh,
yeah.
well, you did this wrong and you should have done this, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
If you're so good, make your own fucking videos. That's what I always like, because I know there's a couple times, even when you and Les did that awesome ass Malifaux video, and I still remember that one. Anybody who's listening needs to go check that shit out. Even if you don't play Malifaux and you think the game's terrible, I don't care. The way that they did it is something that like I've had as a concept for a while, where it's like you've got two people commentating the game at the same time that two people are playing it, so it's almost like doing your own independent Twitch. With
You're talking about our Battle Arena Live stuff?
Yeah, it was Les versus
Mario. Mario, I think it was.
It might have been Mario, and then it was you and Jay that were commentating.
Yeah, we were doing a whole thing where we were doing a WWE thing for wargaming, and it lasted for a few episodes and stuff. But we thought people would get a kick out of it.
It was cool. I really liked the format. It's just the one thing that just burned me to no end every time I fucking read the comments, and that's one of the things that, like, to my podcast listeners out there, to be honest with you, I love you guys. I love the fact that you contribute the way you do, but if you ever go onto YouTube and read some of the comments that these toxic assholes leave on people's sites, it's disgusting. Like, how many times did people, like, sit there on the WWE style ones that you did, and they're like, oh, well, you should have done this, and clearly you guys fucking suck at the game, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but we were also, slamming each other with chairs and shit, so, before you tell us serious about the game, maybe you should, like, rewatch the video again,
Or call the cops. One of the two. I mean, we got video evidence of some serious abuse going on.
Yeah, I mean, we did it for fun, and we play the game as well as we can. It's hard to play a real game when we're dicking around half the time, because that's what we were doing, or, I don't know, that it's just different videos. And, of course, when you try to do a real battle report, there are gamers out there that love nitpicking your stuff, but that's just part of it. You're going to get those people. We ignore them, or we laugh at them. Here's the thing. You haters, you nitpickers, you judgmental rivet counters, we make fun of you. You are our entertainment. You got to understand that we sit there. I'll call up Les and say, did you see what this guy put on my comment on this video? And he goes, yeah. And he's on his ass laughing about it. Okay, we laugh at you guys because you are our entertainment. So don't think for one second that you think, you're discouraging us from doing what we're doing. We actually laugh at you guys. We think it's fucking funny. Like Joey, if you don't know Joey Warhammer, she did videos way back when she was kind of part of one of the founding members of the WGC in the earlier stages. And since she's a girl, she's a pretty girl that plays wargaming, she got a lot of, hate, right? And she got some real, like, nasty hate, like, I'm gonna rape you type of fucking, like, hate type of thing. Like, same thing that Miranda's gotten before, too. And a lot of times, we would message each other or text each other saying, did you get that? And they're like, yeah, ha, that shit's funny. We don't get riled up over it. We laugh about it. And then we make fun of you. We go, oh, yeah, that guy has a small dick. It's okay. It happens. That's what happens when you get a small dick. And stuff like that. We don't care. You get to that point where you just don't care and you have to laugh about it. Because you just have to look at the human psyche and going, well, wonder what's up this guy's ass that he needs to, like, solidify his position in life by calling you a dick or, saying something that's either logical or right. Where he has to tear down someone else just to make himself feel better. that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
That's how we look at it.
But if there's also those certain ones that there's been times, between my years of reading YouTube comments and like being involved with like different forums and blogs and all stuff like that, where I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of bitten the bait when it comes time to trolls and whatnot, and sometimes it's just satisfying shutting those fuckers down too. Like I remember back when Malifaux 1.0, I ended up writing up this big thing for it. I was a huge Malifaux player back in the day, and just kind of like I come from like a fighting game background too, as far as like competitive gaming. So I was like, well, they have tiers in fighting games. Why can't it be done for miniatures? And Malifaux kind of lent itself really well to it because it's like, well, each miniature is kind of its own unique person. They don't really act like a squad, but they give certain bonuses to squads.
Right.
So I kind of set up like a ranking system in how it worked. And I remember this is one guy or gal at this point, I don't know, but was just on there like ripping it apart, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if you got some way to improve it, I'm willing to listen. I want this to be like a community project, yada yada. And after a while, it turned into some scathing stuff, and I was like, well, first off, who are you to sit here and bash all these other people that are putting in input? And what the hell did they write? It was something along the lines of like, I have played in multiple tournaments and walked away with the grand prize on numerous occasions, and like listed off a bunch of numbers and where he's been. He's like, do you have any idea what that means? I was like, yeah, it means you will never know what the inside of a vagina feels like.
Yeah.
And he never responded after that. And I was like, well, sometimes that's what you fuckers get.
Yeah, I mean, you get that, but that's also another thing that I understand is that, especially with the gamers, us war gamers, that we're really passionate about the system we play. I play a lot of systems. I mean, I play like tons, right? And I can barely remember all the rules, and I mix them up and stuff. But one thing is that when one person is passionate about their game system, you don't want someone messing with that sometimes. And that's how sometimes it comes across, is that they feel that now you're messing with the system, you're trying to change it, whether or not you're actually going to change it. I don't know how you will, because since you're not the game designer. But they get really, possessive about it, protective about their game. And that happens a lot, especially with 40K players, especially with 40K haters. They hate you because you hate it, they hate you because you love it. Or they love you because you hate it, and they love you because you love it. So, again, you got to look at it and say, well, look, if this isn't your thing, then shut the fuck up. Right. And let everyone else talk that likes this thing. That's one thing that I just don't understand half the time, but then I understand it because they're just passionate about it. So I try to overlook it and then just block them.
Right. It's something that I've kind of said in the past a little bit is like, wargamers as a whole, we're kind of the jocks of the nerd world because of the fact that, like, let's look at what we're doing. We're playing war games. At the end of any session that we play, do we want to have fun? Of course we do. But our job is like, if Nick and I are playing or Chung, you and I are playing, like, we're looking across the table at one another, like, we're thinking in our mind, like, yeah, we're playing with toy soldiers, but I'm going to beat the fuck out of you.
Oh, of course. That's our competitive nature.
Yeah.
We're human. We're out to destroy each other anyways, and wargaming makes it really easy to do it without actually getting in trouble and thrown in jail about it.
Right.
But yeah, that's our competitive nature. That's just going to happen, whether or not you want it to happen. Even playing casually, I want to kick your ass. That's the whole point of playing a game. You play Monopoly, and the whole point is to be the biggest slumlord you ever could, right?
Hell yeah.
That's the whole point of games. It's being competitive. So when people say, oh, it shouldn't be competitive, then what the hell are you playing a game for? Because it's a game. It's supposed to be competitive. Just don't be an ass about it.
Right, and I think that's the biggest thing is that, you could be competitive, but that comes with that. And, usually you could tell, I'm usually, when I come up to a table, I'm a confident guy. I'll talk to them. I'll kind of get them going a little bit, crack a couple of jokes, comment on some painted models and whatnot. And the moment the game starts, yeah, I'm kind of serious about it, but like I'm still there to beat your ass, and I'll let you know about it the whole time. I'm just not a dick about it.
Right.
And that's something that, even when I was playing War Machine really competitively, and a lot of people nowadays, aside from 40K, War Machine seems to get the most flack for having those win-at-all-cost dickheads that all they want to do is play the game and win. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's their approach. think that's the big thing that a lot of people miss. Is like, it's like anybody else on the planet. Like, it doesn't matter what sport you play, even. Like, how many times have you watched a football game? You're like, wow, that guy's a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, part of it too is just also got to remember: is he actually being a dick, or is he playing mind games with you? And it's all part of the game. Right. I personally like playing mind games. That's how I make you, screw up and hopefully take advantage of it. But again, that's part of the competitive play. Versus like at the end, once the game's over, then I become the nice guy and say, "Hey, good game. You did this great. This was awesome. Loved it." And then the asshole stops. It's the part where the asshole doesn't stop is when you have to start worrying about it.
Right. And that was one of the biggest things, kind of going back to, my War Machine days. It kind of turned me off to the game itself as far as the competitive side goes because, back in 2009, 2010, the schedule to be determined at a convention or a tournament based upon drops. So it was all based upon how strong your opponents were leading up to your placing. So the way that a lot of people got around the strength of schedule is, let's say that you're playing 6 rounds, right? And you've won 4 of your 6 rounds. You're on your 5th match right now, and you're just schooling your opponent. Either be that you outplayed him, your dice have just been hot, or his dice have just sucked ass the whole game. There's something along those lines. Like, he's losing.
Right.
He'll look at the board and go, you know what? I'll drop from the tournament. I quit now. I concede. And he doesn't just concede that game. He drops the tournament. So what happens is all of his scores go to zeros. So whatever his strength of schedule was up to the point to where you just technically beat him, it counts as if you just beat some noob. Like if you're looking at an ELO ladder, right? Yeah. If the people that listen knows what an ELO is for chess, where it's like you want to constantly be playing people that are at your level. Playing people that are below your level gets you nothing, and sometimes it penalizes you. And they kind of had that same concept. So people used to use the strength of schedule in conceding as a fuck you mechanic. Well, if I can't win, neither can you.
Yeah.
So, and it was little shit like that used to bug me. And that's, to me, a lot of people always get on the win at all cost mindset. And I'm like, win at all cost, we all do that when we compete at anything. Some people do it dirty, some people don't. Either way, I'm putting in all of my effort to win.
Yeah.
However, it's the dickhead moments like that where it's like that's the turnoff.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen, and, it really depends. That's why I tend to play friends more than going out to tournaments and stuff. I don't like the tournament scene because I'm playing someone I might not enjoy playing with.
Right.
It's different for every game. That's why I quit Warhammer Hordes. I still play once in a while with a friend, and that's about as far as I go with it because, like you said, the Warhammer Horde scene is a little more competitive than most games out there. That's why I still play Malifaux because Malifaux just have tons of great people in it that aren't all whack people. And I'm not saying whack as in W-A-C-K, I'm saying W-A-A-C, win at all cost people. So it's fun to play Malifaux. It's fun to play Guild Ball because Guild Ball's still setting its standard on how their tournament scene is going. Infinity is fun, give or take. Depends on who you're playing.
Yes.
But most of the time it is fun, especially with the people that I play with. They're all really casual or friendly tournament players, and not the high-end, top tournament playing guys. I don't understand the top tournament playing guys. I also don't understand the top, painting competition type of thing, but that's just me. Always out to trying to win the best prizes or get on top of everyone. I mean, it's not like you're solving cancer or anything. You're just playing the fucking game.
Right.
So to me, that's not as important as just having fun. Because nowadays, now that I got older, and I think we touched on this before, off of media, is that I'm getting older, so I don't want to spend an hour setting up a game. That's why I don't play 40K that much anymore, or barely at all. I'd rather play Age of Sigmar. And a lot of people rag on Age of Sigmar. I was one of those guys until I got into it. And I realized how easy it is, how fast it is, and now with the match play, how a little more balanced it is. So it makes it fun because it doesn't take that long to set up, and you're ready to play. That same thing with Malifaux. Kind of same thing with Infinity. Same thing I think with War Machine as well. But I'm tending to stick to the skirmish games now. You know, the more big epic games I don't want to do unless I know I'm playing with the right people, and I don't mind spending 5 hours or 12 hours a day with them. You know,
Right.
I think that's important. You have to choose the right people to play with. I don't want to waste my time nowadays because I got other things to do, right? So I don't want to waste 3 hours playing a kid at a local game shop that I want to punch him, his face in because he's a dick.
In front of his parents.
Oh yeah, in front of his parents, or punch their parents at the same time for raising such a little dick kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Little shit.
Yeah, I don't want to.
We know
I don't
who
waste
you
that
dick
3
kids are.
hours.
We'll find you.
Yeah, you notice people when you get older, time starts mattering. You know, it's like you want to spend that 3 hours or 4 hours of game time to play with somebody you enjoy, not someone you're going to take a chance on. And I think that's kind of true to everyone that's getting older. All the gamers that I used to play with 5 years ago, same position as me. Let's just play AOS. Let's play Malifaux. Let's not do 40K tonight. We just want to get done quick, have some games, then afterwards drink beer and fart around. We rather drink beer and fart around most of the time anyways now.
It's funny you mention that because, as far as mass battle games, I never played Warhammer Fantasy, but I got into Kings of War, which is my first rank and flank game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that play Kings of War come from Fantasy, and a lot of them are older, and because of that, even when I was at ATC a couple of weekends ago, I don't think no, correction, there was one game where I did not have a beer while I was playing, out of the 6 matches.
Yeah, you're talking about the fantasy crowd. That's a lot of it is about hanging around, drinking, and playing games. And we're an older crowd, and that's why I enjoyed Warhammer Fantasy a lot, and why I got really pissed off when Age of Sigmar came and destroyed Fantasy. I was a hardcore Fantasy 8 player, and Fantasy 6, 7, 8 player, and I always say that because I played that more than I played 40K back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I just enjoyed it because it was with my older friends. We always had to have beers. When we did that Warhammer Fantasy podcast that I did with Philip, I'm not sure if you saw it on the camera, but we had beer bottles everywhere.
Mm-hmm. There were times you had to move the bottles in order to move models.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And that was part of playing Warhammer Fantasy.
And that right there, folks, is what they call quality wargaming.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I think that's kind of my big thing too. Is I just want to sit back and, I still want to be competitive. I still want to win, obviously, but I just want to relax about it. And my days of kind of playing against these little, scrubby dickhead kids is kind of done. I hate to sound like that grumpy old bastard, but at the end of the day, it's just fuck kid, I got a family and I got shit I got to get done. You're gonna sit here trying to tell me about why your strategy with fucking Mulg or your Dark Eldar strategy is so much better than my strategy of just slapping models on the table and trying to give me all this in-depth detail. I'm gonna look at you and be like, wow, you do realize that right now you are going to be a permanent virgin.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I used to be one of those guys, especially 40K, about tactics and stuff. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to matter as much as just having fun.
Right.
Fucking your girlfriend or wife or whatever,
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
there's just so much more to do, and nowadays, especially after the whole hospital thing, with my heart attack and stuff, I'm like, I want to do something more than just sitting here painting, standing there and playing a game. I can get up and move. So, in the aquariums where I'm doing water changes every week and stuff, or going out playing golf or volleyball, or just doing something more active is much more important than, standing there and playing a game in front of a table for 4 or 5 hours.
Right, exactly. That's the thing too. Is I haven't had a chance to say it yet because I haven't seen you in person in a while. But I've seen pictures and fuck, man, you're looking good. You look like you're feeling a little bit more lively than you have been. It's definitely been a big change for you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do lifestyle changes, and it was just that time where I'm like, yeah, I want to look like fucking Tim and start working out and shit. One of the things is like, stop being fat, damn it, I stopped doing that. That's what got me in trouble in the first place. And yeah, and one of them is kind of like stepping part of the way out of the hobby because the wargaming stuff was all about sitting and painting, standing and playing in front of the table, or editing, and that's all I spent my time with, is sitting in front of a computer or behind a table, and not really doing much. And that's just one of the things that I had to get away from is to do a hobby that does more, that gets me moving more. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where the changes are coming from, and that means a lot less time for gaming, meaning I want my values worth, which is sticking to a skirmish game. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, a skirmish game takes you what? If you have to set up terrain, 20 minutes tops, and then from there you're playing, but you're not just playing one game and picking it all up. You play 2 or 3 games. Depending on games.
Yeah, especially for Malifaux, we're done with the first game. We're like, you want to play again? Sure. Or no, let's go watch Star Trek. Or no, let's go watch a movie. Sure. All right, cool. Get out of the fucking house. Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, that's just kind of how things were changing up is changing up for me. And I'm just spending a lot less time worrying about getting 5-hour, 10-hour games in, and worrying about just having quick fun with the games, where I don't have to paint 100 models just to play a game. I just paint 10, and I'm done, and I'm good. I have a crew I can play, or I have a faction I can play. And this is why skirmish game is becoming my top priority more than the big like Warhammer or fantasy games.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that just speaks to like common culture today too, where let's look at video game culture. Like a lot of it's now, and having your hands on like 5 or 6 skirmish games compared to like 2 giant ass armies for one game, like you don't ever feel like you get burned out. Like, yeah, I mean, if you just go on like a binge and do nothing but play war games straight for like days on end, like you would at like Gen Con or something, like you're gonna get burnt out. But when you're playing, if you're just doing the once or twice a week gaming and like you're switching it up every week between like 4 or 5 games, like you never really hit that burnout because it's always something new. It's not just fuck, we gotta play 40K again.
It's always something different, and I think that's one of the things where I don't know if 40K is losing out or not, because I've been out of touch with that whole community for a while now, and honestly I'm not even sure I care about going back to 40K. With one big main reason is, other than the time factor, is the cost factor. The importance of the cost of playing 40K outweighs the importance of me being able to take that same money and play 4 different games with 4 full faction or armies and be able to play a full on game. Right. I mean, it's crazy what you have to do to pay to play for 40K nowadays. I mean, for someone, even with one army, and I don't understand how, even with one army, I'm looking at it going, fuck, why am I spending so much money on this one game when I could do it with five games and still do this and get the same satisfaction out of it with a better system.
Right.
Better gaming, more balanced system, and that could be a whole argument there. But I stopped following 40K with the way they were coming out with all these books and all these rules. I just kind of gave up. I just kind of said, all right, here's my Space Wolf collecting dust. Here's my 4,000 point Tau army collecting dust. Space Wolf, I think I'm at 6,000 right now. My 4,000 orcs are just sitting in a box, not getting painted. My Grey Knight army, which is about 3,000 K points worth, is just still sitting in boxes. The plastic wrap is still around those boxes. They're not even open yet. So, I have like 6 armies I used to play with 40K or starting to get into, and now they just seem worthless.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather play Malifaux, I'd rather play Infinity, I'd rather play War Hordes or whatever skirmish game, Gale Ball, the hot new ones come out with Gale Ball, and I don't have to pay nearly the fraction of the cost of collecting one fucking army of 40K.
Right.
So, it's like, okay, cool, maybe 40K is becoming the rich kids game, and I think it kind of has been in a while. And it's not like the greatest game. It's awesome models, but then so do other companies that make models nowadays is getting awesome as well. There's some cool shit coming out of Malifaux that I'm just like, wow, I love this stuff. You know, Infinity, if you like the whole mech, that mecha anime look, totally the game for you then. You know, Guild Balls comes up with some great freaking sculpts. And Kingdom Death has always been a great modeling company, and now they're doing games with it, you know, board games, but still, or hybrid games. And then you got the whole ease of the system of playing without painting like X-Wing. So you got this huge competition market going against this 40K and GW and stuff. So I don't even know, you know, I don't want to be one of those guys to say, oh, GW is going down the tube or whatever. GW is going to have that IP that's going to probably keep them up. And people love the IP. I love the IP too. I just don't want to buy into their games anymore. It's just not worth it anymore. You know?
Yeah, I totally understand that.
So I don't know how they're trying. Even switching to AOS, and I admit AOS is fun. They made it really streamlined. It's easy, and anyone can play, whether or not you have all the models or not. That's the great thing about AOS. A lot of narrative gaming, really and stuff. But now they got match play. But the biggest problem I have with that was I'm looking at the cost of the new AOS models, and I'm like saying, well, fuck you. Holy shit, is this shit expensive? Even I'm saying that. And you know what I do for a living, and kind of know how much I make. Even I'm going, holy fucking shit, this is expensive. That's bad.
Yeah, well, what the hell is it? I forget what the hell they are. They're Slaves to Darkness. It's the 3 or 4 knights in a box. I think it's 3 knights, and I forget what the hell they're called.
Oh, I don't know what they're called. They're riding what do you call it? Well, whatever it is, it's fucking expensive is what it's called.
Three models. 3 models are $100.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, and I'm
shit.
like, you got to be kidding me. And you want to play a unit of them, which I think the minimum is 5 on the unit for match play. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. I don't have my general habit.
For them, I think it comes as a 5, which is weird.
Yeah, 5 units. So if you don't have 5 units, you go to $400. You only play 3 per unit, a weaker unit, but you still have to pay 100 points for it or whatever the point cost is for it. The way that AOS is lined out.
Are you talking the Blood Knights?
Yeah, I think it's the Blood Knights. Is it Blood Knights?
It's something like that, or like Knights of Ruin, or something.
They're on horses?
Yeah, it's 3 in a box for the Slaves to Darkness army.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm looking because that one was $100 but it had 5 of them, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming from, I think those are from 8th edition too. They're not the new ones. So, I mean, if you lucked out and had a Chaos Force, then
yeah. Well, that's the thing too.
good.
Even if you're playing like the Khorne Bloodbound, like 5 Skull Crushers is $100. Like a unit of 5 is $100. Pretty insane.
Yeah. That Star Drake is crazy. I had to buy one because it looks so cool. At least fun to paint.
Yeah,
but
there's that. You buy models just because they look cool.
Yeah, but to play, I mean, to play because you might want to like play with 1 or 2, like 160, is it?
Yeah.
And then if you buy the regular Drake, I forgot what they're called. They're Storm Extremists, and that's like what is it, 2 for $100?
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they get up there real fast.
You know what I could buy for $100 from Malifaux? A crew, and then everything to supplement the damn crew.
Yeah.
And now I got a crew to play with.
It's the Vanguard.
Yeah, the Vanguard. There you go. That's what they are. Yeah, I have 1 box. I'm like, should I buy another one? Nah. I don't know if I'm gonna play them a lot. So that's the thing. It's just like it's outpricing it to what I want to play. $100. What does that get you? Like I said, a whole Malifaux crew, 2 board games.
Yeah.
It depends on the board games.
Well, it depends, but roughly 1 or 2 board games.
It could get you 1. I mean, which is still more than 1 unit of guys, especially if you need 5 of them and there's only 3 you get in a box.
Yeah, and then you get to play with friends too for free.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you buy, 2 of the Vanguard, you're like, oh, I can only play this myself on AOS. Right?
Yeah.
If you can find anyone to play with, right? So, that's the whole other thing. So, again, I think they're just outpricing themselves. Sooner or later, it's going to be way too expensive.
Yeah.
You know, if it's expensive for me, it's got to be way too expensive for a lot of people out there.
Right. You're practically getting doctor pay.
Yeah, so it's not like, yeah, I don't know. And nowadays with all these new hobbies I'm getting back into, it's like I don't wanna put any more money into this. I mean that it just sours the mood for the hobby, I think, or at least none in that game. Because I'm still buying fucking mouthful stuff. No matter how much I say I'm just gonna buy this at Gen Con, I ended up sneaking a couple of other stuff that I'm not supposed to be buying.
Well, that's kind of the first world problems of everything wargaming is the fact that we always find ways to, get that new unit or get that new faction that just popped out. Like, we're always finding ways to get it.
That is true. I mean, we'll figure it out a way. But
I
nowadays,
I'm for a week.
Nowadays, I'm like going, well, maybe I should sell this stuff to cover my other hobbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I want to size down, and a lot of stuff I do get for free. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't get stuff for free because I do the videos and all the other stuff I do for the WGC. But I don't ask for them; they just give it to me.
Right.
It's kind of like in hopes that I'll cover it, and that's kind of part of the industry is. Like I can't make a video out of this. That's okay, just take it. It's like, oh, all right. Especially at the board game industry, and that's why we're opening our board game division. Something that I've been wanting to do, but I found someone that's going to head it up, so that makes it easier on me. I just didn't need another thing to do for the WGC.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got your hands full enough. So who's going to be heading that up, or is it something that you want to keep hush-hush for the moment?
No. We've already announced it. Her name's Kristen. She goes by Warbird. She does a blog for board games and stuff like that. And I've known her for a while now. And she started a blog up, I think, about a year ago, with Nestor's help, actually. She was taking advice from Nestor to build up a community on board games.
Wait, you're letting Nestor give advice?
Oh, yeah. Nestor's yeah, he's the gaming division director, so he does a lot for the WGC, so he's, he's one of the three people I listen to when it comes to the WGC because he understands what's going on in the gaming division. I don't understand it all because mainly I'm not watching it 24 hours a day. That's his job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so. I totally get that one. Even me, somebody who works in the industry, and I'm talking with vendors left and right, and they're always giving me stuff, and there's all this going back and forth. It's like after a while, I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, how much do I got to talk about games?
Yeah.
I've got
because it's not supposed to be work. It's supposed to be a hobby for me, but it's become work.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, especially when I do go to cons, part of going to the con is talking to the vendors and saying hi to people and people I made friends with in the industry who owns a company or whatever. Because, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Behind the scenes, a lot of us know everyone. We know each other.
Yeah, we're all very tight-knit.
Yeah, you can't say one thing and then not expect it to go around. It will go around, so you have to watch what you say when you're dealing with companies.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've run into that, between the various companies I've worked with through the years, either as like, commission work or volunteer or professional, it's like, if you become that guy,
yeah,
I guess that's the best way to put it. If you become that guy, people know who the fuck you are real quick. And if you do that shit at a convention, all it takes is somebody to text the next booth right over there, and by the time you get to that next booth trying to pull your shit, people are already done with you.
Yeah, and as ugly as it gets, it's outweighed. I think it's outweighed from how wonderful it is, because a lot of these people, even competitors, do help each other.
Yes.
In a way. I mean, some people don't, and then those guys kind of get weeded out. They become insignificant in the hobby or in the industry, anyways. If you're a dick, no one's going to help you, and then suddenly your company's in trouble, and you're wondering why no one's buying your stuff, no one's supporting you. Well, that's because, you're a dick, or you suck one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It gets around fast, so don't be a dick.
Exactly.
It's simple. Everyone do help each other out, and no matter, you're looking at, well, they're competitors, but they kind of help each other out, because they want the hobby, at least the hobby side of it, to succeed, because if one guy succeeds, then the rest of everyone else does too. It's such a small industry that we kind of gotta support each other. Or we're all gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing of it is, especially talking about wargaming, we're like a niche of a niche of a niche.
Yeah.
And if we go around fucking that up, like, it fucks it up for everybody. It's not just, your particular group. It fucks it up for everybody.
It does.
So you got to be careful with that kind of shit. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
Man.
it does with the industry, and it also does with like us community guys who do this stuff for the community. If one guy does it, then everyone's going to remember, and hey, remember what he did. I'm not going to do that with you, type of thing,
Right.
So that's one thing. That's one of the things where a lot of people, especially Badger, they do come to me and say, well, do you know this guy? Do you know that guy? Because they always get hit up. Well, especially Badger, they get hit up a lot with people wanting product to review and shit.
Right.
And a lot of times I'm like, yeah, this guy's really cool. You'll like him. He's one of the community guys, especially with Badger and Ken. He's a very community guy. He's a really good guy, and he likes helping other good people, right? But there are, like I said, in this thing, in this whole, not industry, but in this YouTube, podcast, media, social networking thing, there are some assholes out there. There's some dicks out there who's just out to get free shit. You know, and like I said, it's a small industry. If you're going to be a dick, people are going to know whether or not you own a company or where you're just doing reviews on a video or in videos or in podcasts and stuff. People will know because we all talk to each other.
Exactly. So, and that kind of goes back to, what we were talking about before. Like, we don't walk around thinking like we're some gods amongst men or shit like that. It's like at the end of the day, we're normal people with like everyday lives and, everyday families and everyday feelings. And like, if we see one person pissing in our pool, like, it's going to spread fast and we're going to let everybody know who pissed in our pool.
Oh, yeah. It does. It goes really fast. Yeah.
Yes. So,
yeah.
I guess the crux of this whole conversation is if you're gonna get involved in the industry in any way, shape, or form, and you want to start talking with people, rule number one: don't be a dick.
That's our rule in all our groups: is don't be a dick. That's our first rule.
Right.
Like, look, we do this group so that you can talk to people about the game and share stuff with each other. Just don't be a dick about it. And you're cool. We're not gonna ban you, and we're really lax on that stuff. Unless you're a dick, and then we just ban you. We don't even talk to you and say, hey, don't be a dick. We're just going to ban you.
Right.
We don't care. It's like, all these people are more important than your one self. So when someone says, oh, this guy's being a dick, or one of my staff says, hey, this guy's doing this, and I look and I go, just ban him. Oh, should I message him? No, just ban him.
Right.
Don't give a shit. Just ban him. He's not more important than everyone else in this group. I don't care about that one dick. I care about all the great people that are in here.
Right.
And I'm really strict about that. I'm like, just if they're a dick, just ban them. I don't care.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to like distinguish. Because again, we kind of going back, especially wargaming, we're all very competitive, but at the same time, we're dicks. That means we don't have people to play against, and that's the last thing that we want.
And here's the other thing: you don't have to be a dick to be competitive either, and that's the main thing that we go by. It's like, oh, you're competitive, that's why you're a dick. No, you're be competitive not being a dick. You're a dick because you're a fucking dick. So, bad hammer,
Exactly. Cool, man. Well, Chung, I could keep this shit going all night, but we do usually have to stick around the hour-long episode because otherwise people start trailing off and falling asleep and shit.
Yeah, so, totally understand that. But, I think this became a podcast episode of ranting about the industry and and stuff, it seems like.
Hey, man, it's whatever the hell you want to talk about it. Like I always say, I let my guests drive it. But speaking of that, WGC, whore it out. Where can we find you? What's the best ways to reach you?
I can give you a whole long ass list of all our groups and stuff. Just go to the WGconsortium.com and you can find our videos and stuff there. A new website's coming so that all our videos, all our podcasts, all our articles and everything is going to be organized into sections and stuff so you can be easily found, because you can't find shit on YouTube. You can't find shit, when we're all spread out. So that's what the new website is. So just remember that, WGconsortium.com or WarGamersConsortium.com, and I'll get you everywhere else.
Cool, man. Well, Chung, thanks for coming on. We got to do this again sometime. It's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.
All right. Nick, is there anything else you want to add before we cut this episode off?
Actually, yeah. There's one thing. So, our unofficial self-titled director of marketing, he turned into an adult today. He turned 30. So, as of the recording on today, happy birthday, you bastard.
Happy birthday, bastard. Is that what another nodding guy? Nodding, say yes guy?
Yeah. So who exactly are we talking about, Nick?
His name's David. David Hood. He likes to make pithy comments about whatever the episode is based on. He's the one who started calling us the Warlords.
That's right. Happy birthday, you fuck.
Okay, happy birthday, you fuck.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this episode of Skirmish Supremacy. Have a good night.
Night-night.
Have a good night.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. To see more of the antics that Nick and I do, you can check us out on Facebook at Skirmish Supremacy. We also have Twitter, which we can be reached at Skirmish Supreme, because apparently Skirmish Supremacy does not fit in Twitter. And if you want to email us directly, you can reach us at tim@skirmishsupremacy.com or nick@skirmishsupremacy.com. Thanks for listening.